Ladies and gentlemen, very soon the minister is here. There he is. Kindly get up on your seats and welcome. Honorable Minister of State for Trade and Industry, Singapore, Mr. S. Ishwaran. Welcome, sir. May I also request the other speakers today to, those who are in the first session, to please come up on the dais. Okay. Dear delegates, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the joint organizers, Global Business Network Private Limited, that is GIBN, Federation of Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industries, well known as FICCI, Global Organization of People of Indian Origin, famously known as GOPIO, the Indus Entrepreneurs, that's TIE, T-I-E, and ably supported by Singapore India's Business Federation, I, Dinesh Maheshwari, welcome you to this unique Global Indian Business Summit, arranged for the first time to network with entrepreneurs from the Indian diaspora from all over the world who have made a mark in international business. They are leaders from all aspects of international trade and industry. It is certainly a fabulous opportunity to network and understand each other. And so, without further ado, I request Mr. Saroj Kumar Poddar, the President of FICCI, to give his welcome address. Mr. Poddar, as you already know, is one of the leading industrialists of India and brings with him wide experience of business within India and the world. Please welcome Mr. Saroj Kumar Poddar.
His Excellency Mr. Ishwaran, Minister of State for Trade and Industry, Singapore, Mr. Inderjeet Singh, President, TIE, Singapore, Dr. Nair, President, GOPIO, Singapore, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the joint organizers, it is my pleasure to welcome you all this morning to this distinguished gathering at the opening session of the Global India Business Summit. Each one of you here this morning is without doubt an achiever in his or in her own right, and as you succeed, India succeeds with you. The love and affection with which the Indian diaspora regards India, its people, its culture, and its concern is something which strikes everyone who comes into contact with members of the diaspora. Here, I quote Pandit Nehru, what he said about India and her children, and I quote, "But she is lovable, and none of her children can forget her wherever they go or whatever strange fate befalls them, for she is part of them in her greatness as well as in her feelings." Unquote. FICCI, in its own way, has tried to do its best, as you all know, ladies and gentlemen, by pioneering the Pravasi Bharatiya Divas jointly with Government of India, when there was no dedicated Ministry of Overseas Indians. Even last year at Hyderabad, we were the knowledge partner, but this time with the Ministry of Overseas Indians. Now we are spreading our footprints all over the world by organizing conventions with people of Indian origin in various cities. Los Angeles in the US, and more recently in the UK with the Commonwealth Business Council. We are also participating in a business session at the Asia Television Forum to be held on November 20th, 29th, 30th at Singapore, where the entire broadcast industry from Asia and across the world congregates. In this connection, ladies and gentlemen, let me share with you that FICCI organizes the world, Asia's largest entertainment program called Frames. And Frames today is a program which is attended by 5,000 people from all over the world. You have the leading people from the film industry and from everything connected with the film industry present there, and I'm sure our friend from Jakarta is surely aware of it. The Indian diaspora has made a distinctive impact in each one of the countries in which they live by virtue of their loyalty, dedication, hard work and success. Each one of you have at the same time, by maintaining your commitment to Indianness, has done India proud. And I'm really surprised to see that whenever I travel right across the world, I see that so many Indians, non-resident Indians as we call them, still hold Indian passports and are proud of being Indians. The odyssey of our people to the four centers of the globe has been a saga of courage, enterprise and character. In ancient times, our forefathers went to distant lands as traders, monks, teachers and temple builders. A century and a half ago, Indian indentured labor was sent to sugar, tea, rubber plantations in the near and far-flung parts of the British Empire. They worked on lands as far apart as Fiji, Mauritius, Suriname, Sri Lanka, Trinidad, Guyana and Malaysia. Today, we are modernizing our infrastructure. Our telecom facilities are already as good as anywhere in the world. The combination of India-based IT companies and Indian professionals abroad have made India a premier software power. We are building world-class highways through our national highway development projects. Our rural road network is being upgraded. We have ambitious plans for airports, ports, railways. Housing construction has acquired an unprecedented speed, and I am sure a lot of people, particularly from Singapore, are very well aware of it. Even last night at a dinner, I did notice that a number of businessmen from Singapore are still looking at real estate in India. All I can tell you, ladies and gentlemen, the world is your opportunity. Don't miss it. Come and invest. Literacy, especially women literacy, has registered a marked rise over the last decade. We are aware of the slow progress in several areas of our social sector development. But let me assure you, we as a nation are determined to move faster than before. All in all, we are guided by the ambitious goal of making India a developed nation by 2020, free from all vestiges of poverty and full of opportunities for our 1 billion people. Friends, we would like to create an environment in which all of you may wish to return. At least there is an opportunity for you. You can have 2 homes, one here, one in India, not just for sentimental or emotional reasons, but in the conviction that you can excel in this country as much as you can excel in any part of the world. I believe that the Global India Business Summit can be a catalyst for rapid change in this direction. Each of you, through your network of friends, relatives and acquaintances, can create a strong contribution to change in India. Our collective attention needs to be above controversies and trivial issues that dominates the headlines and focused on the real tasks to be accomplished so that India can truly catch up to the developed world. Friends, India has been deeply appreciative of the support of the global Indian community in times of need. Whenever India faced a challenge to its security or to its territorial integrity, I must compliment the Indian diaspora have tirelessly championed its cause. We are prepared from Indian business to respond to your expectations from India. We invite you not only to share our vision of India in the new millennium, but also help us shape its contours. We do not want only your investment, but we seek your ideas, your experience. We do not want your riches, we want the richness of your experience. We can gain from the breadth of vision that your global exposure has already given you. When you left India, you carried with you the primary colors of Indian ethos. A cross-fertilization of cultures over time has added new shades to these vibrant hues. Today, we invite you to brush in some of these new colors onto the ever-evolving canvas of India's development. Thank you.
Wonderful opening. May I now request Dr. V.P. Nair, the President of the Global Organization of People of Indian Origin, GOPIO as it is famously known, to please address us. Dr. V.P. Nair.
Mr. Corwell of FICCI, Honorable Minister Mr. Ishwaran, Honorable Member of Parliament Mr. Singh, Indrajit Singh, friends, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I thank you for inviting me to participate in the Global Indian Business Summit at Global Entrepreneurial Singapore. This, to my mind, is a conglomeration of business and professional entrepreneurs with a vision to identify global trends in business and a mission to launch the Global Indian Business Awards. It is an important milestone for the Indian diaspora, as here the top Indian establishments, namely the Global Indian Business Network, FICCI, TIE and GOPIO, are pooling our brain power and resources for the betterment of the society, the Indian society, wherever they are. A word about the GOPIO, or the Global Organization of People of Indian Origin, I think will be appropriate at this point of time. It is an international group of people of Indian origin. The concept of such a community was born at a meeting of like-minded Indian intellectuals at London in 1987. 2 years later, in 1989, at a brainstorming session of an extended group of NRIs, the so-called non-resident Indians, and PIOs of people of Indian origin such as me, who are the second or third generation of Indians in the foreign countries, a firm commitment to form a global organization of people of Indian origin living and working outside India was ratified. For the welfare of this group of Indians, of this group of people, some of whom were even marginalized in their own country of residence, a new dynamic global community was born. Most of them were highly successful in business and professions, while some of them existed at substandard levels. It was then realized that if the professional expertise and financial resources of this elite were to be pooled together, it would benefit the people of Indian origin, the countries of residence, as well as Mother India. At that time it was called Mother India. They could receive the needed help during crises as well as calamities. With these objectives, the National Federation of Indian American Association, called NFIA, together with PIO and NRI of North America, Europe, Asia and Africa, organized the first global convention of GOPIO in New York from August 28 to September 3, 1989. Attended by over 3,000 delegates, the convention identified and discussed problems facing Indian diaspora. It provided the necessary forum to address their concerns and aspirations. For the first time, a book on migration of Indians around the world was launched at the convention of GOPIO, and GOPIO was born at this convention, and the concept became a reality. 2 yearly world conventions became an ongoing feature of GOPIO at different world capitals such as London, Paris, New York, Port Louis of Mauritius, Johannesburg in South Africa, New Delhi in India, and of course in Singapore in the year 2005. GOPIO, as you know, is a non-partisan secular global organization dedicated to promote the well-being of people of Indian origin, enhancing cooperation and communication between Indians living in different parts of the world. Among the many activities of GOPIO Singapore, an important milestone was the conferment of the first Global Indian Achievers Award to the Indian IT magnate of Infosys, Mr. N.R. Narayanamurthy, on 15 November 02. As an ongoing event, the second Global Indian Achievers Award was presented to Mr. Kishore Mahbubani, Dean of the Lee Kuan Yew School of Public Policy, Singapore, on 18 December 05 during the 8th GOPIO International Convention. The theme of the 8th GOPIO International Convention in Singapore was Socio-Economic Empowerment of Indian Diaspora. 800 delegates and many ministers from Malaysia, Mauritius, USA, India, Sri Lanka, UK, Nepal, Indonesia, Brunei, Australia, New Zealand, Kenya, and Middle East, and other countries participated in it. The United Nations has accredited GOPIO as a secular non-governmental organization or NGO. GOPIO has many country chapters. Recently, the French-speaking countries, such as the Francophonics, such as Mauritius, Madagascar, Quebec in Canada, all these countries were also given prominence in GOPIO. In other words, GOPIO has two official languages, English and French. With rapid globalization, new migration and interdependence of the globalized world, the Indian diaspora today, to my mind, is 25 million people spread over 125 countries, constitutes an important and unique force in the world in terms of trade, business, information technology, management capabilities, banking, culture, heritage, health facilities, law enforcement, educational opportunities, entrepreneurship, and even fashion industry. The term diaspora, just for the sake of fun, in ancient Greek means scattering or seeds, and it refers to any population that leaves their traditional ethnic homeland and disperses in other parts of the world. The three main players in this field are the Jews, the Chinese, and the Indians. The early Hindu empire in Southeast Asia and the latest spread of Buddhism many centuries ago are in reality the beginning of the Indian diaspora. The second wave of enhanced Indian diaspora began mainly during the British Empire, or better known as the British Raj. It has flourished ever since and has experienced a further boost during the recent IT, beauty, and Bollywood revolution, which may be described as the third wave of Indian diaspora. I will call it modern Indian Raj. In the global theatre, as on October 14th, China's forex reserve surged to almost $1 trillion or $988 billion. India has 145 billion reserves, thus China has 6.8 times forex reserves compared to India. Look at the top multi-billionaires in India, such as the time-honored Tata and Birla, and the newly emerged Narayanamurthy of Infosys and Azim Premji, all of whom fortunately do substantial charity work and promotes education. To date, the Indian American community is now the second largest Asian community in the United States, with a population of 2.3 million and a growth rate of 38%, the highest for any Asian American community. Following the long-standing demand, the PIO community first celebrated Diwali in White House in the year 2003. This year, the White House celebrated Diwali on 21st of this October 2006, and in a special message to the Indian community, President George Bush said, "The Festival of Lights demonstrates the rich history and traditions as friends and family come together in a spirit of love and joy. Moreover, it is a well-known fact that America's 38% doctors, 36% NASA officers, and many other people are of Indian origin." Now, Zubin Mehta was recently honored by the John F. Kennedy, as well as Lakshmi Narayan Mittal. You know all about it. Now, GOPIO is, to my mind, mother, as is the case with all the Indian organizations. What is the meaning of mother? M for mentor, which is a well-known term in Singapore. O for organizer, T for trainer, H for helper, E for educationist, and R for reformer. So if we can be mother, that is mentor, organizer, trainer, helper, educationist and reformer, I think we will be in a good place, good position. So once again, I wish to congratulate the organizers, particularly Mr. George Abraham, for kickstarting the very successful Global Indian Business Summit. I wish to conclude by wishing you a very happy, enjoyable and pleasant convention. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. V.P. Nair. This is very refreshing to get a new definition of mother, and it was wonderful, sir. May I now invite Mr. Inderjeet Singh, who today is representing us, is here as President of the Indus Entrepreneurs, Singapore. Sir, a compliment for you. Thai, I think, is a beautiful word to say we all get together, tied down to a common purpose. Thank you.
A very good morning to our guest of honor, Mr. S. Iswaran, Minister of State for the Ministry for Trade and Industry, Mr. Saroj Kumar Poda, President of FICCI, Mr. Dr. V.P. Nair, President of GOPIO, our distinguished speakers, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Singapore and welcome to our conference. Especially with many overseas visitors today, I'd like to welcome a warm welcome to Singapore. Now, as you have seen in the program, we have many opening speeches today, so I'll try to keep mine short. Although it's very difficult for politicians to make short speeches, but I'll try. On behalf of Thai Singapore, I'd like to thank our conference organizing partners, the Global Indian Business Network, FICCI, GOPIO, for jointly organizing this conference with Thai. Thai, as all of you may already know, is the world's largest organization of entrepreneurs, which originated in the USA in Silicon Valley. I'll not elaborate about Thai, you can read about it on the banner that we put outside. Now, as we all know, India and China are going to be the two most interesting places to do business in the next few decades. And the focus of the summit is therefore very appropriate. If we miss the boat on China and India, we will miss the boat on almost all our business. So I hope that we have many distinguished speakers who are experts in this area. They will share their experiences, and I hope that all of you will benefit from the speeches and from their presentations. Let me take the opportunity to also thank George Abraham, the Executive Director of Thai Singapore, who has worked very hard to put this conference together with the organizing partners. My thanks to all the distinguished speakers, many of whom are from overseas, as I mentioned. Our very important guest, Mr. S. Iswaran, for being here today. And I believe that the Chief Minister of Gujarat and also the High Commissioner of India will be speaking in the afternoon. They are not here, but let me also thank them. And of course, thank you to all of you for coming here, because without you, the conference will not be a success. And I hope that you have a fruitful session. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Inderjeet Singh, the President of Indus Entrepreneurs, Singapore. Now we have a very important and distinguished guest amongst us, who is none other than the Minister of State and Trade and Industry of Singapore, Mr. S. Iswaran, who will be giving the keynote address. And I would request you all to really hear him out, because whenever I have heard him, he has been brilliant.
Thank you for the kind introduction. Mr. Saroj Kumar Poda, President, Federation of Indian Chambers of Commerce and Industry, India. Dr. V.P. Nair, President of GOPIO, and my parliamentary colleague, Mr. Inderjeet Singh, who is the President of the Indus Entrepreneurs of Singapore. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. And let me first say that I'm very pleased to be here today with all of you at this hallmark event that brings together Indian business leaders from all over the world. And in particular, it's a real pleasure to see many familiar faces and friends not just from Singapore, but from other parts of the world as well. And I want to extend a very warm welcome to all of you. Today, the Indian diaspora comprises over 20 million Indians who make a significant contribution to the global economy. Many play leading roles in diverse business sectors, from information technology to finance, from manufacturing to retail. So the Global Indian Business Summit provides an invaluable opportunity for this breadth and depth of Indian talent to come together, to interact, exchange ideas, forge new relationships, and seek out new business opportunities. Singapore has had deep and strong historical and cultural ties with India. 8% of the resident population of Singapore is of Indian origin. Many of our forefathers came from India and, through their enterprise, have contributed immensely to the economic growth of Singapore. They have played an important role in creating the vibrant and cosmopolitan country that Singapore is today. And the Indian cultural imprint on Singapore's social landscape is self-evident. Consequently, Singapore is a significant hub in the Indian diaspora, and many successful Indian entrepreneurs have used and continue to use Singapore as their base for regional and global ventures. They range from more traditional sectors like retail, where we have examples like Mustafa, a 24/7 shopper's paradise, offering a wide range of value for money merchandise, to fast-growing IT companies like GIBS, which in 6 years has become a $2 billion transnational company with more than 100 offices in 35 countries. One thing that entrepreneurs like Mr. Mushtaq Ahmad of Mustafa and Mr. Vikas Goel of GIBS, and indeed many others like them, one thing that they have in common is their grit and determination to compete and grow their business to where it is today. Another commonality is their confidence in Singapore's open, competitive, reliable, pro-business environment to serve as a launchpad for their business ventures and entrepreneurial aspirations. The Singapore government has always adopted an open-door policy to welcome to our shores global talent with ability and drive, initiative and ideas. Indians are no exception to this policy, and many have been working in Singapore for years. The elite Indian Institutes of Management, IIM, and Indian Institutes of Technology have active alumni in Singapore, with around 600 IIM and 700 IIT alumni members. In fact, I understand that IIM alumni in Singapore is the largest in any city outside India. They hold critical positions in different fields, including IT, finance, biotech, and IP management. Many have chosen to take up permanent residence or Singapore citizenship. To cater to the needs of the growing Indian expatriate community here, leading Indian schools have also established a strong presence in Singapore. Delhi Public School has a campus here, and the Global Indian International School has 2 campuses. Both offer kindergarten to grade 12 education, and at the tertiary level, leading business school, SPJ, has also opened a campus here to offer their MBA program. The strength and growth of such cross-border business and people links is a reflection of similar trajectories in the broader bilateral political and economic ties between India and Singapore. In particular, the signing of the Comprehensive Economic Cooperation Agreement, CECA, last year, laid the foundation for stronger economic partnership by enhancing bilateral flows of trade, investments, ideas, and people. We are now beginning to see the fruits of the CECA. India-Singapore bilateral trade has grown to record levels. Last year, it reached 16.6 billion Sing dollars, increasing by over 40% from 2004. Investments from Singapore into India have also increased. According to foreign direct investment figures compiled by the Indian government, Singapore was the 3rd largest foreign investor in India last year, investing over $321 million. Singapore is the natural gateway to the Asia-Pacific region for Indian companies with strong economic and political ties that underpin the relationship, as well as cultural proximity and people-to-people links. Singapore's business-friendly policies and our extensive connectivity to the region provide a conducive environment for international enterprises to set up operations here to cover the regional markets. And indeed, many Indian companies have already used Singapore as a springboard to the region. Today, we have almost 2,000 Indian companies based in Singapore, and many have their regional headquarters in Singapore as well. The top 20 IT NASCOM companies have established their presence here, and many are growing very successfully. Tech Mahindra, the 8th largest Indian IT services company, has announced its plans to increase its employee pool here. Its headcount will grow from around 170 to 300 within the next 18 months, with Singapore serving as its regional headquarters. Satyam Computer Services has its Asian headquarters here in Singapore, as well as its Global Business Continuity and Disaster Recovery Center. Last month, they launched their business intelligence, analytics, and mobile applications global innovation hubs in Singapore. Apart from IT companies, many logistics firms are managing their regional businesses from Singapore. For example, Gati is an integrated logistics provider that has located its Asia Pacific headquarters here. Singapore's connectivity has enabled Gati to take full advantage of the booming trade between India and other parts of Asia. Indian companies also carry out R&D and manufacturing operations in Singapore. Godrej has a manufacturing plant in Singapore for producing steel office furniture for domestic and export markets. Everybody knows Godrej covers. Baha Industries opened its first overseas production and R&D center in Singapore last month, becoming the first Indian company to invest in Singapore's fragrances sector. Indian companies are also beginning to acquire interests in Singaporean companies. For example, last year, Tata Steel acquired Singapore-based Nat Steel Asia to leverage on the latter's network of steel mills in the Asia-Pacific region to expand Tata Steel's international outreach. As the businesses become increasingly globalized, we will see more of such cross-border transactions between Indian and Singaporean companies. And this is a trend that should be welcomed, encouraged, and we should actively promote it. In particular, there's considerable scope for Indian and Singaporean companies to collaborate, not just to look at opportunities in each other's markets, but also to combine strengths to look at third-party markets, working with the broader Indian diaspora. The recent growth in the bilateral economic partnership between India and Singapore writes a new chapter in the evolution of ties between our two countries. It is a vivid example of how Indian and Singaporean enterprises can leverage off each other's capabilities and that of the Indian diaspora to seize new opportunities and face new challenges posed by globalization. Global Metropolis 2006 is an excellent opportunity for participants to reflect on the implications of globalization for your respective companies. This Global Indian Business Summit is also a unique opportunity for business leaders of Indian origin to contemplate how the diverse strengths of the Indian diaspora can be harnessed to address new and growing opportunities in India and the Asia Pacific. I wish all of you a very productive set of meetings and discussions, and I want to congratulate the organizers on putting together this excellent forum. And to all our visitors from overseas, I wish you a very pleasant stay in Singapore. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. This was absolutely great to get a summary of what has been done and what the future opens out to be for all of us. I have to make an announcement here. Since in the morning everybody came in and there was a rush, many of you might not have picked up your badges and your conference kits. In any case, as soon as you, after this session, when we go out for tea break, when you go out, those badges and your conference kits are available and you can pick them up from the table. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now have a very short tea break. I emphasize very short. after which we will assemble again for a very enlightening session, followed by a panel discussion of leading entrepreneurs from all over the world, from the Indian diaspora from all over the world, who have specially flown down from various countries and are here in Singapore, whom we have already welcomed with all our warmth, and we request them to be here because this session is going to be important. The tea break will be very short, as I said, and essentially to reorganize ourselves for a lively discussion. And therefore, you're requested to be back in the room within 20 minutes from now. We'll be highly obliged if your cooperation is forthcoming. Please remember the ideal word, time is the essence of business. So we assemble exactly at 10:25. Fortunately, we saved 10 minutes in this session. Thank you.
I've noticed that there is a book outside called the Encyclopedia of the Indian Diaspora. And I'd like, Mr. Lalkaka, would you like to come and sit in front here?
Ladies and gentlemen, we are now on to a very enlightening session. It's called the Globalization of Business, the Indian Diaspora Experience. We have some very distinguished guests from all over the world again, and I would call them one by one. They'll be making their speeches, and after that it will be followed by a lovely panel discussion. So may I first invite somebody from Australia. And as you know, Australia is the place where the sun rises. Without the sun, you can't do anything. So we have Mr. Sunny Navratnam. By the way, Sunny, my name is Dinesh, and Dinesh means sun also. So Mr. Sunny Navratnam, Chairman, Blood Solutions Sydney. It's nice to have somebody speaking bluntly. Please come in.
Good morning, everybody. And first I want to say thank you very much for this extraordinary privilege and honor of letting me speak to you and share with you the journey and my experiences of building a business in Australia. So, Mr. George Abraham, you're an extraordinary man, and I'm really privileged for the work that you're doing and what's going to happen in this global Indian Business Summit just boggles the mind. I'll get started. We don't have a lot of time. So let's have a look at the South Asian diaspora, and it's important that the South Asian diaspora be looked at in the Australian context because there's very much communities from all of the countries that make up South Asia. Predominantly the communities are Indian and Sri Lankan origin. There's about 120,000 people of Indian origin and about 70,000 people of Sri Lankan origin. There are the two most popular states in Australia are New South Wales and Victoria, and the two capital cities of those states are Sydney and Melbourne. And about 70% of that population, the South Asian diaspora population, actually live in those cities. Small business and professionals. It's kind of the first place that we look at. And if you look at accounting, engineering, medicine, and law, as you would guess, is dominated by people of South Asian origins. These are records from the census of 2001. In the small business area, areas such as food retail, professional practices, restaurants, information technology services are the areas in where South Asian people are very, very active. The other recognized area where there's a great reputation for quality and innovative thinking is in the academic world. Some of the universities out there, places like the National University, is dominated by people from the South Asian diaspora all across the various disciplines in there. In corporate business, the South Asians are known for top and middle management expertise. Two of the 100 top earning CEOs in Australia are actually from one person from India, one person from Sri Lanka. 6 CFOs of the top 100 companies of Indian Australian origin. There's a lot of people running quite significant organizations, especially in the accounting, legal, and IT areas. There was a survey done by an organization called Leading Edge Research a few years ago, and they established that the highest indices for reliability, professionalism, and high work ethic was from the South Asian people among all of the different ethnic communities. Indian entrepreneurship in Australia has seen a significant jump in the last 10 years. Previous to that, they were very much in the small business sort of sector. The entrepreneurs are now really building large businesses. Food franchising, for example, is now being more or less dominated by South Asian people. The famous franchises like KFC and Subway and McDonald's. And outside Beijing, the most successful McDonald's franchise is actually owned by an Indian businessman. He's been very innovative in his marketing, and some of his stuff is being touted now to go into the universities as an example of how you can transform the way you set up a standard organization and build on its marketing. In areas such as automobile sales and publishing, there are a number of businesses which have now gone into the record books. They're all $100 million plus, and this has happened in the last 10 years. Biotechnology, there's about 5 organizations. One of them is looking at being floated in America at the moment, and they're expecting the float to raise about $2 billion, which is quite a significant achievement. TIE came to Sydney in 2002, and it's been active since then. I'm a charter member of the TIE organization in Sydney. And it's still at its early stages, I must say. A lot of people in Australia have not been aware of the entrepreneurial capability of Indian diaspora people. Over the last 4 or 5 years, I have been speaking a lot in universities, on the radio. I've been conducting a lot of seminars. And with a number of other people out there, we've been highlighting and bringing to the attention of people there is a cultural phenomenon which is absent in most parts of the world about the entrepreneurship, the thinking, and this goes back thousands of years. Very recently, there's been some inroads from John Howard's government about fostering entrepreneurship in Australia, because they've suddenly woken up to the fact that unless Australia does something about entrepreneurship, that the country is probably going to end up more like a slave state than a vibrant organization or country vibrant organization. And they're looking at using and understanding how the Indian entrepreneurial culture has been formed so that they can use it as a basis for development in Australia. And there's a couple of think tanks that have been set up. And I'm hoping that over the next year or so that these will be developed into some significant relationships with India. And I think the essential element of that is that through this process they're going to actually understand how the Indian mind thinks and getting to understand that that kind of value systems, the way of thinking is what creates that entrepreneurial culture. Quick story about Blunt. This is part of the brief that we were given to talk to you, share about what we've experienced. Well, starting in 2002, the organization was set up to focus on improving organizational performance. Our methodologies are very, very unique. It's developed through my life experiences, working in all parts. I actually worked in Singapore once on a project working for Wipro and working on the work in the Port Authority. And the experience that I got out of that and the tools, techniques and stuff helped me to build this organization. Client base ranges from very, very large corporates, a number of clients from the top 10 companies in Australia, down to very, very small businesses. Some examples of assignments of things that we do. One particular client who was doing about 20 million Australian dollars per annum sat down, came to us and asked us, look, I'm here, what do I do next? I don't know where to go. So we worked on a transformation program that over the last 4 years took them from $20 million into $300 million, and I believe in the next 2 years, we've just got into America. That'll grow to about $2 billion in the next 2 to 3 years. A lot of funding coming in there. Another one was a more smaller business that was hemorrhaging. It was a technology company, just hemorrhaging about $1.5 billion a year. And we put in a very interesting strategy which transformed the company from that stage to a profit of $1 million in 12 months. This kind of gives you an idea of the kind of projects that we do. One of the challenges I faced when we set up this business, my co-founder is actually an Irishman. We call ourselves the black and white of management consulting. Though I like telling that I'm more chocolate than black. One of the big, I think, challenges I had when we started was that Australian business was very unfamiliar with the high-level strategic capability of South Asian people. As you can guess, when we started the business, a number of people from Sri Lanka and India became part of our initial core group. And I guess talking to people and explaining to them some of the ways that we do business and create some idea of the kind of strategies and thinking that we're building was quite a tough job. A lot of the tools, techniques, and practices that we developed, I worked closely with companies like Wipro in India and a lot of companies in England and the US way back 20, 25 years ago. I'm a lot older than I look. Were not used in Australia. Australia is relatively unsophisticated in that way. And it's a big comparison when you take the big multinational corporations in Australia and you take the Australian corporations. There is a huge gap in the level of sophistication of their operations. So kind of the major challenges that we faced when we were building our business. So a couple of strategies that we used. One is be patient. Really important there because it's time to build trust and confidence in what we were doing. I built a lot of preeminence, spoke in lots of conferences, specialized learning events. We went out and educated people for free. Went out and educated Australian CEOs, CFOs, company directors and senior managers, taught them lots of techniques, tools, ways of thinking for free. Built some interesting relationships with the Chartered Institute of Management Accountants, which is an English-based body, the second largest accounting firm in the world. It was the sort of forefather of the Cost and Works accounting body in India. And the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. I'll tell you a little bit about it. And what we also did was we went out and looked for very, very challenging assignments, things that other people didn't want to take. And what we did was we took those assignments by going on a basis that we will produce a result or they don't have to pay us. Naturally, you guess that in a management consulting world, this was almost unheard of. We're probably the only consulting company in all of Australia that does this. And by proving and producing the results and getting paid for it is how we built a reputation. What now? What's happening at the moment? The organization is being split into three as the evolution of the organization is coming. We've got the Business Solutions Organization, which works on organizational transformation, solving their problems. We have built a very, very sophisticated mentoring network. I've recruited some of the top CEOs who have retired, entrepreneurs who have retired in Australia, put them through a 6-month training course on philosophy and knowledge of human behavior, which has been quite intriguing, and that's become very well known there. And in another very specialized area, which is the area that I'm running now, which is leadership education and development. In about a month, we'll be going in for a share issue to raise $1 million Australian dollars to fund our big marketing push, which is being done through a relationship. J. Abraham was the world's top marketing expert. We're just in the process of finalizing an acquisition of an international development organization, leadership development organization. I believe it finalized by December 2006. And we'll be conducting the first ever major leadership conference in Australia in 2007, at the moment scheduled for October 2007. We expect to see some very, very prominent speakers from around the world. What's our vision and objectives? Our idea is to generate about 100 million US dollars in turnover by Australian dollars in turnover by 2011. We are currently working in Asia, Pacific Rim, and Africa, and we continue to do that. One of the, when I described to you about leadership development, we've actually got two arms to that. One is a corporate organization that goes out, it's a profit-oriented organization that goes out and works with corporate leaders, teaching them to become humane and people of values and principles, showing them that we can actually make a lot more money doing that than the way you do it normally. We try to take that same thing and it's been applied in a charity that has been set up, and we've been going out and helping stop wars in different countries, which we're primarily based in Uganda, and the work we do has helped stop wars in the Congo and in Uganda, and currently we are in a project in Sudan, helping stop some of the major conflicts that are happening there. And the leadership education work we're doing is, we have a big project running at the moment with about 40 CEOs from Fortune 500 companies, and it's a revolutionary project. The impact of that I can see now with human beings just becoming human beings instead of becoming numbers, ruthless men. And I believe that what we're doing is actually helping change the way human beings interact with the universe around us. So, creating the fulcrum of great organizational leaders, working in the countries that we're working in now, and of course the possibility of ending wars in Africa and South Asia. I'll be going from here to Sri Lanka, and I'm hoping to meet some people who we want to work with to help stop that horrible war that's taken a toll of that beautiful country. So that's where we are. Thank you very much for listening to me. It's a great pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Sunny. This was really good. At least now I know where to go from Singapore. Thanks, Al. Thanks for opening horizons for me. After Sun has come out, what we need is a Ganesh to keep everything all right. So we have Mr. Ganesh Srinivasan, representing the Gulf and the Middle East. He's the Managing Director of Gulf Incom WLL Qatar. May I invite him now for the next speech, but before he comes in, a polite request is that we all, because we were 10 minutes late and we have to keep this thing and the sessions going on time, kindly be brief and be within your limits of time that have been given to you. I know it's very difficult to summarize so much experience that you have, but we'll try to do it. Thank you.
A very good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's a right privilege and honor for me to be here and present before you our success story in the Middle East. A special word of appreciation to Mr. George Abraham for initiating the Global Indian Business Summit and inviting fraternity all over the world. Many thanks, Mr. George, for inviting me as well. Mr. Dinesh, I wanted to start my presentation as the Janata train in India, but with so much of pressure from Dinesh, it's going to be the Rajdhani Express. You can believe that. Okay. I'm from Qatar. My name is Ganesh Srinivasan, the General Manager of Gulf Incom. And I will be taking you to a small, I really hope it's small, presentation on how we came into Qatar, our experience there, and how we see the market in the future. I've been involved with the business since 1978, and I'll be taking you through an index which says why we went into Qatar, what's our background, and why did we choose this small island, or I would say a peninsula in the Middle East. slow. I've got to be faster, I think. So this is going to be the content of my slide. Qatar, if you see Doha, that's the capital of Qatar. It's like the devil's hand in the peninsula. Just a very, very small state, 11,437 square kilometers, with about 700,000 people, of which 180,000 are Indians. And the business community is very, very small. We have more than about 160,000 workers, but just about 20,000 professionals, out of which we have a very, very small community. But it's growing. The laws are changing. Qatar itself is growing at a rate of about 20%, and we've tried to keep it in the growth of Qatar. If you see, the population itself has grown by more than 30% in the last 4 years. The GDP of Qatar has grown from $27,128 in 2001 to $49,655, and in 2006 it's predicted to be about $65,000. And bulk of the GDP comes in from the oil and gas sector. Like most people will know, oil and gas represents 65% of the economy. Qatar currently produces more than 1 million barrels per day of oil, and they have one of the largest reserves of natural gas, which is 12 trillion cubic feet. It is the third largest in the world, and the single largest gas reserve in the world. That's exactly what Qatar is trying to do, develop these oil and gas reserves. Of course, the main partners are starting from the Southeast Japan. India is still among the first 15, it's not among the first 10, and that's what it's our business, Indians in Qatar, businesses in Qatar trying to do. Now, we started as a small-scale industry in Pune in 1966. It's a family-owned concern. It's with my uncle, my mother, and my brothers. And the company's business was to make fiberglass reinforced plastic composites. We started making thermoplastic products, and we did a lot of work for the defense. And till today, we are the #1 supplier of missile containers for the Bharat Dynamics Limited, which is the largest producer of missiles in the country. I think it's running too fast. I need your help.
I'll just get someone.
Anyway, I'll continue with this. Why did we choose Qatar? We had a family-owned business. We started our first exports to the Middle East in 1979. We exported, strangely enough, plastic bathtubs, thermoplastic bathtubs, sanitary fittings to a company in Sharjah. And this company brought us with Mr. Abdurrahman Manai, the chairman of the KC group of companies. This company was established in 1968 and went into trading. And we started the first manufacturing joint venture into fiberglass. In 1970, it would be very interesting to know, the water distribution in Qatar was only through tankers. There wasn't an efficient water distribution system. There were no pipelines. And most people were using galvanized tanks. And these used to be affected by corrosion. And then we set up the idea, we went with an idea of setting up a fiberglass unit to manufacture FR